What is up, guys? We are live here with Pro Play Games, and we have a brand new deck profile, another Colossal Warfare leader deck that just came out with the new expansion. We got a brand new character. I think this guy's from like Xenoverse or something like that. I've never seen this guy, and I've watched like every Dragon Ball Super episode, and Dragon Ball Z episode, and Dragon Ball GT. Demigra. This is a demon lord from the Dark Demon Realm saga. Never seen it, like I said, but very cool because he is pretty much based around the whole Overrealm and black mechanic. It's trying to abuse that mechanic, trying to dump cards into your yard as soon as possible and get you to use Overrealm and Dark Overrealm, which is one of the new mechanics in Colossal Warfare, which actually specifies having a number of black cards in your Overrealm in order to play them. So really cool mechanic. Also adds on to an existing mechanic in Overrealm. We're gonna get right into it. When this card attacks a leader card, place 3 cards from the top of your deck into your drop area. If all the cards placed in your drop area are black, draw 1 card. So we have our very first mono black deck. So all black cards. I think this is one of the first times that this was ever possible. I think at the beginning when black was revealed, Bandai was like, no, you can't have all black cards in your deck, and now you can, now with a, you know, Demigra and all these black cards that have been coming out. Pretty interesting. It's also got the same, if your life is 4 or less, you may choose 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode and flip this card over. So on the back side, you got a demon, you got a Ghastly Malice, Demigra, and he's got an ability called Wormhole. Wormhole, brand new skill. It allows you to break the mechanics of the game. It pretty much lets you do things that you weren't able to do before as far as what the rules have been in place. Now, the ability lets you Overrealm and Dark Overrealm up to 2 times a turn. So that's pretty interesting because now you can bring out 2 times the amount of creatures, essentially for free, because usually when you play the game before, you're like, okay, they overwhelmed already for the turn, they can't play this card, they can't overwhelm me again, they can't like hit me with a 1 energy double strike dude like Fu or Mass Saiyan, or oh, they can't play a free guy like Trunks. And now they really have to think twice. So really interesting, and it kind of gives a whole different twist to the game and in combat. When this card attacks, draw a card, activate main once per turn. You can choose up to 3 black cards, up to 3 in your warp, and place them in your drop area. So that's really interesting because now you can fuel your drop area again without milling yourself, which is actually huge because there's only a few amount of times where you want to keep milling 3 and keep milling 3 like you do on this side, because then you could easily just deck yourself out. And in this game, once you run out of cards in your deck, you automatically lose the game, just like almost every game does. But on this side, without having to touch your deck anymore, you just automatically just dump cards from your warp back into your drop, which is huge. I think that's a really cool way that they made this a lot more competitive than if they just made this side, oh, just mill 3 again. So we're gonna get into the deck profile now. Alright guys, so to start off the deck, of course, our super combo is going to be Supreme Kai of Time, World's Protector. Pretty much the only black one. I'm not sure, I could be wrong. But this guy's the best one because it does require you to have a certain number of cards in your warp. So it has no life specifications, so you can be at 8 life with this guy and just super combo as soon as you get 5 cards or more in your warp, which is pretty easy to do with this deck, of course, obviously, because you're milling every time that you attack. You can bring out as early as turn 2, I believe you can do that. Next card in the deck, this is kind of like a tech choice. Heavenly Wizard Demigra. Now, this is particularly good against SS3 decks and Cell Chain decks where they get you know, they do a lot with, they bring out big creatures with very low amount of energy. This was kind of just like something to test out. It was a black card, of course, and it was something that's a 0/5k that can actually act as a kill spell. So this was something just to test out against them. Just a little tech choice, you know, that's something that can definitely be changed up, if anything. Next card in the deck, this one's another brand new addition. Most of these are from Colossal Warfare, but Frigid Blast Poutine, I guess. Poutine. This one, one of the few cards in this deck that actually has the Dark Overwhelm mechanic. You can see it there. Instead of just saying Overwhelm, it says Dark Overwhelm. Interesting thing about Dark Overwhelm, it doesn't actually leave the board at the end of the turn like Overwhelm does. Overwhelm cards, at the end of the turn that they're overwhelmed, they actually go to the warp. These Dark Overwhelm cards actually stay on board, and they're actually able to be used, you know, throughout the turns. So that's something that Dark Overwhelm brings to the table, which is really, really interesting. And of course, as you know, our leader is going to be able to let us Dark Overwhelm twice per turn if we really wanted to. Now, when you play this card, choose up to one Demigra with an energy cost 4 or less from your deck and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is just a searcher, and it's free. It's free energy. You actually don't have to pay one single energy for this card. You just got to fulfill that Dark Overwhelm 3, and once you do, this is pretty much 0 energy. So very good card to play in the deck. We would play more if we can, or if there was more cards like that. Dark Overwhelms are very powerful, of course. Then we got Time Patrol Trunks. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with this card. This was from this is one of the very first black cards we ever got. People were, you know, crazy when we first got black cards and Overwhelm cards. They thought it was like very, very catastrophic. They thought it was very, very dangerous for the game. They thought it was just, you know, super overpowered mechanic, and it's proven to be very, very powerful and very splashable in different decks, but definitely not broken. Something that you can use in good moderation. This deck tries to abuse it as much as possible, but Time Patrol Trunks, along with another card that we're using that you'll see just in a second, this can get online as early as turn 1, because as soon as you attack with your leader, you're milling 3. So Time Patrol Trunks, very good turn 1 play, 0 energy, doesn't require one single energy to play. All you gotta have is 3 cards minimum in your drop area. Send them all to your warp, bring out Time Patrol Trunks, look at the top 2, pick one to your hand, and put the other one on top or bottom of your deck. Very, very, very simple. Next one, the reason why we're only playing 2 Time Patrol Trunks is because this replacement just came out. It's replacement in a few aspects. I mean, Time Patrol Trunks is still good at being able to, you know, pick what you want and put it on top, and pick what you don't want and put it on bottom, whatever the case is. But this one lets you see 3 cards versus 2 cards. The Time Patrol Trunks does only let you see 2 cards. This Time's Choice, Supreme Kai of Time, essentially the same thing. It's got the same cost. The 3 Overwhelm, very, very good and staple in this deck, especially because you can get it rolling right out the gates. And then the only difference between this one is you look at the top 3, and the only other difference as well is that it could only get battle cards. Now, because this deck is pretty much all battle cards, you can actually just get any card in your deck in the top 3. So it's just strictly better than Time Patrol Trunks, but you wanted to have multiple ways of seeing something that you can see, that you can play on turn 1. So Time's Choice, Supreme Kai of Time is what we're playing a full playset of for sure in this deck. Next one that came out in Colossal Warfare in the Dash Pack specifically is Desperate Onslaught Bardock. This guy's an Overwhelm 5, but it costs no energy whatsoever to play. So a good card, another good card that costs us no energy to play. Overwhelm 5. It's going to be very, very good for when you're like going down the home stretch and you're like overwhelming 2 with your Awakened leader. This guy's got critical and he's got an auto. That's pretty powerful. When this card attacks during the turn that you played it with Overwhelm, your opponent may not combo with battle cards in their battle area or activate blocker for the duration of the turn. So really good against those decks that are trying to flood the board with a bunch of 5k pumps. You're seeing a lot of Majin Boos, a lot of time control, Kornoas, things like that. And people are playing blockers like Bodyguard Legic, Videl, Dauntless Kale. Like, there's just a bunch of blockers running around. So this guy's really, really good. He's not only does he have critical, he's a 5k pump, and he's also got Overwhelm for 5. So you're gonna see another reason why we play him later on in the deck, but 4 of him for sure. Very good card. You can get him in the Dash Packs, by the way. So if you buy any Colossal Warfare packs or booster boxes, you can actually get a chance of getting him. I think there's like 4 different Dash Pack cards that you can possibly get. But now for the cards that cost us energy, which is not many, but compared to all the cards that we can play for free, which is why I love Overwhelm cards and black cards in general. They're all very, very cheap to play. Now this one is a new one. This is just a common, but Poutine in Demigra's Thrall. I'm probably like butchering all these names, but who cares? It's a 1 energy, it's a black card, and it's a blocker. That's pretty much the most relevant blocker we can have. I mean, not only is it fit the theme in black, it's a 1 energy blocker, so we don't die to those very, very aggressive strategies, but it's also something that saves us from dying to things like Scientist Fu and things that they're trying to just finish us off with, like saying Kaba. To note, blockers are very, very good this format because a lot of these cards, like Saiyan Kaba, the Trunks, the Gohan, all the ones that like pin yourself on an auto and then give you like double strike or critical or things like that, those are all autos that have to resolve. Your opponent has to choose to activate them or not before you throw a blocker in front of them. So having blockers, whether it be Poutine or anybody else, is very, very good, especially in this format, because if they do decide to injure themselves, then you can instantly just throw the blocker once you figured out what their decision is to either hurt themselves or not. So it's very good. If we had more access to black blockers, we would, but I think this is the only one that's available to us at this moment. When you play this card also, if your leader card is Demigra, place up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop area. So Poutine along with Demigra can get you as early as turn 1. You can play that Desperate Onslaught Bardock that we just played over Realm 5, and that's really interesting. I mean, there's situations where you would mill, there's situations where you wouldn't. I mean, not every single situation is correct to mill, but it just really depends on what type of resources you have left and things of the sort. Next card we play that costs 1 energy, and a black card is Toki Toki. Okay, I think I got it right this time, guys. Time Creator. This one has Deflect, which, you know, is not really relevant. I don't think anybody's playing any type of counter play cards when you play this guy. It's only 1 energy. The main reason why we play this, as you saw in the Herdagon profile, is because it searches the Time Control Kronoa, which is the main reason why you want to play this card. I mean, worst comes to worst is the black card, right? So if you mill it, it's fine. It gives your Demigra the draw and things like that, but it's just something that cycles out, and it's easy to get to your turn 1 a lot easier because this deck doesn't play too many 1-drops. So if you miss your Kronoa or you miss your Poutine, then you definitely want to get the Toki Toki at least. Of course, we play the playset. Of the Time Control Kronoa. This is a card that replaces itself on summon, so it's definitely something that helps the deck filter through cards, try to find the cards that you want to see, and, you know, utilize them to the best of your ability. So this guy, really, really good. Also shuts down anyone who's still, for some reason, still trying to jam Shigesh. This is a card that is black, so it fits in there, and it's just a 1-drop, so there's no reason not to play it. Next thing we play in the deck, this one is a special promo that you could only get in the special pack. So it's a Dimension Control Demigra. Now there's another Demigra from the actual set that we were considering playing. It has Dark Overwhelm versus this one that has only Overwhelm. The only problem with the other one is that it's a 3 energy card. So you would need 3 energy. It stays on board, but it does the same exact thing as this Dimension Control Demigra. The only problem is that this one will go away at the end of the turn, the other one won't. But the other one's 3 energy versus this 1 energy. So this one we judged after Peter and I playtesting this. We solely decided that this one was just much better, especially in this fast format where you just want to get, like, you know, you want to utilize as little energy as possible so you can keep energy up. Now this one says, when this card attacks during the turn you played it with Overwhelm, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and sends it to their warp. If that card was a battle card, combo with it in your combo area. So pretty good because it acts like a Relentless Destruction Mirror at that point and takes a card from your opponent's hand. Now the good part about this is that if it's a battle card, which normally it is, I mean, unless they want to give out a big, like, useful piece of their puzzle in, like, the Legendary Flute or things of the like, or like a negate or something, and if they do, sure, you took away something that was pretty vital to their strategy. Most of the time they'll just throw you a battle card or a 5k or something like that, and then at that point this becomes a 1 energy 25k attacker, and your opponent lost a card. So not bad, much better than Relentless Destruction Mirror, at least in this deck. So we decided to play a full playset, and this is also your only target for the Frigid Blast. So that's that on that one. Next card we decided to play, this one is also 1 energy, and it's a pretty big one because a lot of people have been playing this in the main deck now over Mass Saiyan. That's why we decided to play it over Mass Saiyan. It does only warp 1 card instead of like cards that add up to 5, but in the meta now where people are playing Triple Flash and things of the like, Dimensional Banisher Fu is just good enough. Also, a lot of people are playing blockers, which people don't understand. This can actually hit blockers. The Mass Saiyan cannot hit blockers, and that's one of the biggest problems that will probably pop up in this format as people start playing more and more defensive strategies to not lose to the aggro decks. Dimensional Banisher Fu does exactly that and gets rid of those pesky blockers. It has only 1 energy requirement, an overwhelm of 5, and it has double strike on a pretty solid body at 20k. So we're playing only 3 copies of him, but he is very, very powerful. We do have a lot of overwhelm cards in this deck, so we wanted to cut it to pretty much like 3 copies of cards so that we can see them. And then next one, of course, the late great Trunks Power Overseeing Time. This is still one of the best overwhelm cards in the entire game because of the sole purpose that it gets back a super combo. It buys back a super combo, and people don't understand how huge that is, especially now when you want to make pushes into even bigger pushes, and it's really all about who can make a bigger push. This guy makes a huge push with a double strike body, 20k. It might as well say pay 2 energy. It's a 20k for the turn, double strike, and pretty much make it a 30k, and it draws you a card because it's almost always 95% of the time getting you back a super combo. Unless you really need another piece in the deck, this is a very powerful card that threatens your opponent's life. So Trunks Power Overseeing Time 100% had to be included into this deck, and it's been really, really good up to now. Only 2 energy also, so that's our only two drop, pretty much, essentially, if you want to look at it that way. And then at our 3 drop, our only 3 drop in this deck is Time Trauma Mass Saiyan. Now this guy's really, really powerful. Let's take a look at them really, really quick. When you play this card, if your leader card is black, you may choose up to 2 cards in your life and add them to your hand. If you choose to add 1 or more cards to your hand, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less and send it to the warp. So pretty good. It's just like Dimensional Banisher Fu, where it really gets rid of cards on the field, gets rid of those pesky blockers, and it also helps you self-awaken because we are not playing a self-awakening leader. But like I said, you don't want to run too many self-awakening cards because the leader, the format right now is just very, very fast. So most people are just coming straight out the gates at your life. So we're only playing 3 copies of him, and he is 3 energy. So that means by turn 3, if you're not awakened, this guy will be able to put in some work, and if you're awakened already, it's a black card. So you can go ahead and, you know, pitch it or whatever. He also doesn't have overwhelm. He's just a card that will stay on the field. So if you do end up landing him, at least he'll be able to be a 5k combo down the line. Next, for the 4 drop spot, I think this is a pretty much auto inclusion in almost any overwhelm deck. This is very, very powerful. 4 drop, Dark Plot. This is very powerful because it untaps energy. Sure, you need to get to 4 energy first, but once you get to 4 energy, you won't regret using all your energy on this because this is going to give you back some of that precious energy. Activate main, choose up to 1 battle card from your warp, with an energy cost of 4 or less and play it. If you use the skill to play a card with overwhelm, choose up to 3 of your energy and switch them to active mode. So a very, very powerful card in Dark Plot. This is something that's going to be able to buy back a lot of your overwhelm cards if you really need to for the rest of the turn. And it's also going to be able to buy back some energy to the point where it nets you 3 energy. So at the end of the day, this will cost you only 1 energy once you get to 4 energy. So Dark Plot, for sure. Very good card, and I think the only extra card that we play in the entire deck. Next one is second to last. We got Super Saiyan 3 Bardock. Now, this is one of the 2 main win conditions of this deck. I mean, sure, you can overwhelm your opponent to death, but when you're talking about that like oomph card, you're talking about that clutch trump card in the entire deck. You're talking about Super Saiyan 3 Bardock right here, Power Unleashed. It's got Xeno Evolve, so very, very powerful. For only 5 energy. It is the most expensive card that you're going to be playing in the entire deck. Like, you're not using 5 energy really on anything else on the deck. And it goes over the Bardock Xeno, which we actually have right here. So this Desperate Onslaught Bardock actually doubles as a role, as a target, and the only target for Super Saiyan 3 Bardock Power Unleashed. And usually you want to save the Desperate Onslaught for this big bad boy, or else you're not going to be able to Xeno Evolve. But the beautiful part about Xeno Evolve, you can actually summon your Desperate Onslaught Bardock, attack, have that ability affect them for the rest of the turn where your opponent can't combo any cards for that attack, and then you can actually go into Bardock and just blow up the rest of their field. So they're going to be giving up some cards in hand to block themselves from that attack, and then they're going to have to lose their whole board to the Super Saiyan 3 Bardock Power Unleashed. And this guy has triple strike at 30k. When the card evolves into this card, if your leader card is black, you may choose 5 cards from your warp, place them into your drop area, and if you do, send all of your opponent's battle cards to their warp. So that is ridiculous. Not only does it fuel your overwhelm, but it also field clears your opponent. Like, they have nothing to interact with this. Like, barrier does not even stop this card because it does not say choose anywhere in the text. So if your opponent has a field full of monkeys and they feel super safe with King Vegeta giving barrier to all their dudes, you're gonna just ruin their dreams, hopes and dreams with this card, because this is gonna take out every single one of their cards. It's gonna be a triple striking body. You're gonna fuel your overwhelm because you can overwhelm twice with your leader. So not only did you overwhelm once and hit them, you're gonna go and play this bad boy, triple strike, clear their field, and then you're going to overwhelm again because your leader's Demigra, and then you're still going to be able to have a Demigra attack. So you can literally take them 5-6 life in one turn. Insane. This is your big boy. This is the one that you want to have keep in your hand until you get a Desperate Onslaught Bardock, and then you can save that guy, or because he plays 4, you can actually play one, attack, kind of chip away at their life, and then just wait until you get another one of these. So we play only 3 Super Saiyan 3 Bardock because this is the final evolution. It's no good unless you have this one out, and it's 5 energy like we said, guys. So that's kind of pricey. So last card that you want to finish your curve on, if it's not Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, it is the ultimate Beyond Darkness Demigra. Now this is an ultimate card, one of the secret rares from Colossal Warfare. You could only get this one a case if you're lucky. So what this guy reads is, first, he's an ultimate, so you can only have 1 copy of an ultimate in any of your decks. So if you want to play an ultimate, you have the option to. You can only choose 1 in any deck. And this is definitely the one for the Demigra deck. Not only does it have Dark Overwhelm 7, but it only costs 5 energy. So it's another one of those cards that you want to play on 5 to win the game. This is the second big win con next to Super Saiyan 3 Bardock. That is just really, once you play it down on the board, it's usually game. This has triple strike. It's a 40k. 40k is huge. And when this card attacks, it's going to get even bigger because your opponent reveals their hand. You choose up to 4 battle cards from it and combo with them in your combo area. Yes, you can take their super combos. No, their super combos won't activate unless your leader is like a Supreme Kai of Time, World's Protector or something like that. Because if they have like Boost Attack Piccolo and then your leader is not blue, of course, because you're Demigra, then you're not going to be able to get any additional combo power. But it's still just as great because now your opponent doesn't have access to that Boost Attack Piccolo and it goes to their drop area. So incredible card, whether you're using it to make it bigger and make your Demigra bigger, or you're just using it to disrupt your opponent's strategy. I think it's a very, very powerful card that if you drop, it's usually just game. I mean, every time that we've dropped this card, like, your opponent's just hands down just losing so many resources, even if they do negate this attack, because it is something that they can negate or block or whatever. But as soon as you play this guy, you have the information of what's in your opponent's hand, and at that point, it's just, it should be game. I mean, they lose 4 cards off you just attacking. Like, doesn't include the negate that they have to throw. It doesn't negate, it doesn't stop the super combos that they might have to additionally combo with. Well, if they even have any, which I highly doubt because you usually just take all the super combos. But not only does it take away that, it'll take away a blocker. This can take 5, 6, 7 cards from your opponent. So this is something that has to be answered. And look at that foiling. I mean, once you play that, you have to feel really good. Every time I play this card, it's just like game. But there it is, guys. That is the Demigra mono black, first ever mono black deck on the channel, and first ever mono black deck that I think that can actually be assembled in this format. Super cool deck. I think that this is something that has legitimate contention in the meta. Of course, the meta is very, very fast, so you might have to you know, make some adjustments, maybe play more blockers, or you know, maybe play Time's Judgment as a negate. We didn't see too much the need for it, but this is definitely a solid core moving forward. If you want to use something and you want to use a Demigra at your locals, definitely try this out. It's very, very solid. It has a big toolbox of options that you can use, and it's a very fast deck. It's just something that's going to hit your opponent twice. They're probably not even going to realize about the Dover Overwhelm. It's very hard to actually get adapted to this guy being able to cheat the game, the rules of the game that much. But anyways, super fun deck to play if you guys want to play something fun. Thank you again for watching the deck profile, guys. If you want to see any more deck profiles like this, or if you want us to profile a deck that we have not yet, please leave it down in the comments below. Thanks again, guys, for watching the deck profile. Till next time, stay pro.